Dear friends, dear audiences that are watching, it's with a very heavy heart that we even have to get to this point to talk about this bill that is going on in the Republic of China, Taiwan. As an Asian American and a first-generation immigrant in the United States, the freedom of speech and democracy and the right to vote is a privilege, not a right. This privilege has been ingrained in us. We're fortunate that the structure in the United States are built on the idea of religion, free press, and free speech. Yet this could easily be taken away and misused in many places to institute bogus censorship to fit a particular agenda. The forced passing of this proposed anti-infiltration bill in Taiwan would be the perfect example. Without even looking at the contents of this bill, we could start by examining the timing. This is already suspect. President Tsai of Taiwan announced the bill late in the legislative cycle and late in election campaigning on December 15th of this month, claiming that the DPP planned on passing this bill before December 31st in response to an audience member at a campaign rally. Doesn't that sound bogus already? This particular bill that the administration is in a rush to pass proves that DPP and Tsai is infringing on political freedoms and striking off legal oversight measures by attempting to pass the bill so quickly. The fact is, the leader of the democracy of a country are not only responsible for national security, but at the same time, they also have to defend her citizens' human rights. A government cannot treat these holding different opinions as enemies, as the Tsai administration has been doing over the last 3 years. Now, Tsai announcing this bill so quickly, looking back at it, makes it seem staged deliberately. And the reason I say that is because she announced it at such a late stage in the campaign in order to force the DPP party caucus to move quickly on the matter. Yet, she's been in office for 3 years. Where were all these spies and collaborators and infiltrators in the last 3 years? Why did you wait till a few days before election to do this? Her drive to shove this bill through the country, through the citizens of Taiwan, clearly shows that this is motivated not by national security, but to gain personal advantage in this upcoming election. Tsai's administration has already amended 5 laws this year to crack down on Chinese espionage in Taiwan. For example, retired government and military officials are now prohibited from taking part in political-related activities in China. Or cyberspace has been made a national security category. That also means her administration can control what is online. Former officials and public servants who have held Beijing espionage operations now face prison terms. But that already is in the law. What is the purpose of forcing this new bill ahead of elections? And not to mention the fact that the bill lacks a clear definition of pressing of valid external forces, but yet it comes with somewhat heavy penalties compared to the drug laws of Taiwan, Republic of China. This proposed bill's vague language and how it pertains to existing exchanges with the mainland means that anyone, and I mean anyone, for any reason, could become a suspect under the controversial act. Now, without just talking about the timing, let's talk about the contents, which is also bogus. This is purely fear-mongering at its best. To be honest, the history, as historians, as people that understand history, we don't want it to repeat. The facts are that Tsai's government has used Gestapo tactics. Now, that's a very, very strong accusation, but that's exactly what her government has done to cover up the graft and corruption of her administration. The contents of this bill, of the draft provision, says that people cannot engage in lobbying practices specified in Article 2 of the Lobbying Act, at the instruction or commission or with the financial support of the source of infiltration. Those violating the article are subject to a jail term of up to 3 years or a fine of up to 1 million NT, or both. Folks, do you think this would even work? Would it even matter? It won't. It's a way of using fear to control the voters. Because the fact is, whoever did take money will take a lot more. They'll just run over to China. They'll escape. Why would it even matter? Now, this act was also clearly not drafted with careful consideration, or even in good faith. Because such a law, like I said earlier, could turn millions of Taiwanese people, whether they're doing business or studying in China, or even religious groups, or even travel agents, into suspects. Especially if you have family or friends, or if you're even vacationing in China, they could accuse you of something, of being an agent. For all the reasons stated above and more, this bill is an obvious attempt for President Tsai to create bogus reasoning and excuses that will be directed at any opposition she deemed to be harmful of her chances to be reelected. She dodged a lot of questions, and her vague responses to these valid questions concerning this issue has proved that she has provided no plans of solutions as repercussions to very serious consequences that this bill will most likely bring to Republic of China and her citizens. This bill is only beneficial to her and her campaign and has no short-term nor long-term upside or beneficial to Taiwan and her people. I have only a few more points to point out. President Tsai has been called out on numerous issues that has affected her credibility so far. This bill is very clearly an attempt to damage control and to isolate current concerns regarding her current government's graft and corruption, and the prevention for more deep probing issues that has been going on for the past 3 years. Now, this bill also will legitimize her running an impartial campaign. Her campaign obviously is already been impartial. Her fear-mongering, her mudslinging, her dragging personal and private lives into the campaign has been facts. These are proven facts. Her use of cyber terrorists, this is a fact. This bill will be a dangerous tool for premeditated attacks toward anyone that is not part of her administration or that's a part of her corruption. Thirdly, this bill is going to significantly disrupt the checks and balances within the Taiwanese government and its public affairs by giving Tsai and DPP full control of the disintegration of the separation of powers in Taiwan. This is the first step to becoming a totalitarian state and to cover up systematic corruption within her government. For a lot of our friends that live in a democracy, the concept of Republic of China, Taiwan is very far. Let me give you a very quick pointer on why this is significant. The people of Taiwan, of Republic of China, has enjoyed the freedoms of democracy for over 2 decades. ROC was formally established as a republic on January 1st, 1912, one of the first in Asia, and definitely the first in the Chinese-speaking world. The first direct presidential election in the history of the Republic of China occurred in 1996. That's more than 20 years ago. So for the past 20 years, the people of Taiwan has enjoyed the freedoms of democracy. But yet we forget that martial law was declared in Taiwan on May 1949. It was continued to be in effect for almost 40 years. It was repealed in 1987 and was used as a way to suppress the political opposition to KMT at the time. During this period, it was known as White Terror. 140,000 people were imprisoned or executed for being perceived as anti-KMT or pro-communist. Many citizens were arrested, tortured, imprisoned, and executed for their real or perceived link to the communists. A lot of these folks were from the intellectual and social elite, and an entire generation of political and social leaders was decimated. In 1998, a law was passed to create the Compensation Foundation for Improper Verdicts, which oversaw compensation to white terror victims. We're talking about 228, this event. Think about this. If this bill is passed, it is reverting everything that the DPP and the people of Taiwan and the citizens has asked for, the repealing of, the recognizing of 228, of this atrocity. So if this bill is passed, it's reverting this hard-earned freedom of the Taiwanese people back to 1959, which is over 60 years ago. Once again, a leader of democracy must be responsible for her citizens' human rights first, because without human rights, without freedoms, there will be no national security to protect, because there will be no nation left. A government Taiwan's government cannot treat those holding different opinions, those that oppose her values and oppose her political statements, as enemies. This is one country. Elections could be over, but laws, discrimination, fear-mongering lasts. So please send this to all of our friends that want to protect, want to have peace and prosperity, that wants to protect our democracy and the freedoms that's earned through the blood of hundreds, or if not thousands, or millions of people that fought in World War II, that fought for Taiwan. Because don't forget that Republic of China, Taiwan, was an ally in World War II with the United States. We fought the axis of evil, including Japan and Germany. This is the greatest generation. The greatest generation is not only in the States, they're also in Taiwan. The greatest generation, this is their legacy, their blood, their sweat, their tears, and it's their heritage and culture that the DPP is trying to erase. Please protect what was earned. This is a privilege, not a right. And I hope everyone send this out to people that care about what's going on in Taiwan. And I wish all of you a happy 2020 and a prosperous new year. Thank you for watching.